Welcome to the Squared Circle. My name's Andy Evans, coming to you from Weymouth in Dorset. It's Sunday night, it's 7 o'clock, and that can only mean one thing. The Squared Circle is live and on the air. Coming up in the next few minutes or so, we are going to be looking at the legacy of one Bubba Ray Dudley, otherwise known, of course, as Bully Ray or Mark LaMonica. Now, if you want to get in contact with us here at the Squared Circle, part of the Retro Chat podcast, you can do. All you need to do is look down the bottom of the screen, Retro Chat Podcast on Facebook or Retro Chat Pod on Twitter. All right, let's do it, shall we? Let's talk all about Bubba Ray Dudley. Mark LaMonica, born July the 14th, 1971, is an American professional wrestler, which we all know, known for his time within ECW, the WWE, and Impact Wrestling, where he went under the name of Brother Ray or Bully Ray. 50 years old, Mark really has had one of the most stellar careers across any wrestling organization. Inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame back in 2014 and the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018. Trained by some of the biggest legends in professional wrestling. Trained under Johnny Rodz. He debuted in 1991 under the ring name Mongo Vile. And his gimmick, not far from being that of Bully Ray, was a biker billed from Hell's Kitchen, inspired by a combination of Knobs and Sags, the Nasty Boys, Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, and Max Payne. But it wasn't until 1995 that LaMonica's career really went into overdrive, because that's when he received a tryout for ECW in September of 1995, appearing as Mongo, who was then the bodyguard of former referee Bill Alfonso. He impressed ECW owner Paul Heyman by taking a chokeslam from wrestler 911, and it was at that reason and that point that LaMonica was hired. He was recast as Bubba Ray Dudley, who was the stuttering, dancing, overweight hillbilly member of the Dudley family. The unusual spelling of Bubba was due to the result of the stutter. In saying his name, Bubba would stutter, causing him to say, "My name is Bubba, until Big Dick Dudley struck him in the head. At which point he would shout, "My name is Bubba Ray Dudley." The fans really took to the comical Dudley Boys, and during Bubba Ray's matches would actually chant Bubba, 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 and the spelling eventually stuck. On April the 13th of 1996, at Massacre on Queens Boulevard, Devon Dudley debuted in ECW and began feuding with the other members of the Dudley family, who kayfabe were his half-brothers. He claimed that their comedic antics were not the way that true Dudleys should act. Devon eliminated Dances with Dudley. I love these names. Dudley Dudley and Chubby Dudley, that's who I'm taking after, before joining forces with Bubba Ray, Big Dick, Sign Guy, and Joel Gertner, known collectively as the Dudley Boys. Bubba and Devon dominated the ECW tag division, winning the World Tag Team Championships a record 8 times and defeating the 4 major tag teams in ECW: Public Enemy, the Eliminators, the Gangsters, and then Sabu and RVD. Bubba Ray, Devon, and Gertner achieved a degree of infamy for their vitriolic interviews, which antagonized audiences to a point of near riot. He stayed in ECW until 1999 before eventually signing with the WWE, where he would spend quite a lot of time. In fact, he would stay with the WWE in the first run until 2005. Because it was in 1999, as we said, that they left the ECW, and the Bubba stutter spelling of Bubba Ray Dudley was dropped. Throughout 2000 and 2001, the Dudley Boys engaged in a 3-way feud for the World Wrestling Federation tag team titles with the Hardys and Edge and Christian. The feud incorporated 3 critically acclaimed tables, ladders, and chairs match. The first being at WrestleMania 2000, the second at SummerSlam of 2000, and the third in 2001 and arguably one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 17. While they were initially heels, one of the things that Bubba Ray was known for was driving women through tables, including WWE divas Terry, Mae Young, Lita, Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, and Jazz. The Dudleys were soon cheered by the crowd, and they turned face in early 2000. On the December 28th, 2000 episode of WWF SmackDown, Bubba actually received a title shot against the Federation champion, the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, which, unsurprisingly, he lost. In early 2001, the Dudleys were joined in the World Wrestling Federation by half-brother Spike Dudley. In mid-2001, the Dudleys turned heel once again by joining the Alliance. This was a large stable of former ECW and WCW wrestlers led by Shane and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley, and they attempted to take over the World Wrestling Federation. Spike, along with some other ECW alumni, however, didn't join the Alliance. The ECW WCW invasion ended at the Survivor Series when 5 WWF wrestlers defeated 5 Alliance in a match to determine the ownership of the WWF. The Alliance disbanded and its members left the WWF. But because the Dudleys were the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions at the time, which they had then unified with the WCW Tag Team Champions at Survivor Series, they retained their roles. 2002 to 2005 was a really interesting time because following WrestleMania X8, the WWF was renamed WWE, and in May of 2002, the roster was split into 2 separate brands, Raw and SmackDown. Because of this, the Dudleys, for the first time, were separated when Bubba was drafted to Raw and Devon was drafted to SmackDown. It was on Monday Night Raw where Bubba found moderate success and competed quite extensively for the Hardcore Championship. He formed a tag team with Spike and even competed in a World Heavyweight Championship match against the Game Triple H. On SmackDown, however, Devon's new gimmick, that being Reverend Devon, kind of failed to get over, and he was reunited with Bubba and Spike at the Survivor Series on November the 17th, when he returned to the Raw brand to help Bubba and Spike defeat Rico and 3 Minute Warning in a 6-man elimination tables match. Reunited one more time, the Dudleys became a force to be reckoned with on the Raw's tag team division over the next 16 months, feuding with teams such as 3 Minute Warning, La Resistance, and various combinations of the Un-Americans. They held the World Tag Team Championship several more times before being traded, along with WCW alumni Booker T, to SmackDown on March the 22nd of 2004 in exchange for Triple H because he didn't want to work Tuesdays. Yeah, all right. Shortly after arriving on SmackDown, the Dudleys turned heel once again, siding with Paul Heyman and feuding with what used to be known as Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam, and Rey Mysterio. On the May 27th episode of SmackDown, the Dudleys kidnapped Paul Bearer, the manager of The Undertaker. And on June 27th at the Great American Bash, The Undertaker defeated both Bubba Ray and Devon in a handicap match. In July, the Dudleys reunited with Spike, and for the remainder of the year, they assisted Spike in his matches for the Cruiserweight Championship. They also won the WWE tag titles one more time. It was in early 2005, though, that the Dudleys were removed completely from WWE television and sent to developmental territory OVW. This is because the WWE creative team attempted to devise an angle for them. They weren't off TV for long, though, because in June 2005, they returned to WWE TV, this time in order to promote ECW One Night Stand, an ECW reunion show held at the Manhattan Center in New York. In the weeks preceding the One Night Stand, they, along with several other ECW alumni, vied with the general manager of Raw, Eric Bischoff, and his anti-hardcore Crusaders. At One Night Stand on June the 12th, the Dudleys defeated Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman in the main event of the night after driving Dreamer through a flaming table. On July 5th, 2005, WWE announced that they had not opted to renew the contracts of the Dudleys. So, in addition, with 15 other wrestlers, they were released by WWE. What was the reason? Budget cuts. In August 2005, all three former Dudleys were issued with legal notices advising them not to use the now WWE trademark name Dudley. This led to a degree of acrimony between the Dudleys and their former employers, as they'd used the name since 1996, several years before all of the ECW IP was acquired by WWE as a result of bankruptcy proceedings. Soon after this decision, both LaMonaco and Hughes, Devon, announced that they intended to pursue legal action against the WWE. So where would they go next? Well, back in 2005, there weren't really many opportunities. AEW wasn't around, WCW had gone for many a year, ECW was dead. So the only major promotion out there, by Ring of Honor, was Impact. So that's where they went. TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, for 2005 until 2014, and then a brief return for Bully Ray in 2015. So no longer able to use the Bubba Ray Dudley name, LaMonaco adopted and trademarked the ring name Brother Ray Deadly, while Hughes became Brother Devon Deadly. The team also trademarked the term the Deadly Brothers and the Deadly Death Drop, of course, used to be known as the Dudley Death Drop. In August and September of 2005, the Deadly Brothers, that sounds really weird, made several appearances on the independent circuit, most notably at Hardcore Homecoming, which was an unofficial ECW reunion show organized by Shane Douglas, who was a frequent critic of WWE chairman Vinnie Mac. It was on September the 21st of 2005, it was announced that both the Dudleys, the Deadleys, had signed multi-year contracts with TNA. Ray and Devon debuted on TNA on October 1st, 2005 episode of Impact. This was the very first episode to be aired on Spike TV and in a primetime slot. We will be covering that very soon on this channel. They were identified as Brother Ray and Brother Devon, with the suffix, thankfully, of Deadly being dropped. They have the new ring name of Team 3D. Team 3D quickly established themselves as faces by confronting the then heel NWA World Heavyweight Champion Jeff Jarrett and his cronies, the NWA World Tag Champs, America's Most Wanted. Team 3D defeated AMW at various pay-per-view events in November and December of 2005, but failed to defeat them in the title match at Final Resolution in January of 2006, due to interference from those dastardly Team Canada. Ray and Devon continued to feud with AMW and Team Canada over the following months, and it was on the April 13th, 2006 episode of Impact that an attempted ambush by Team Canada was foiled by the debuting Spike Dudley, now known as Brother Runt. They had many battles in TNA with the Latin American Exchange, and they won the NWA World Tag Titles from LAX at Lockdown in an electrified steel cage match. When the NWA disintegrated and TNA went their separate ways, Brother Bully Ray and Devon were stripped of the NWA World Tag Titles, and instead they were awarded the TNA World Tag Titles as compensation, becoming the inaugural TNA World Tag Team Champions. They defended the belts against the teams of Road Warrior Animal and Rick Steiner at Slammiversary. They would then go on to headline Victory Road in a match of champions against TNA World Champion Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. It was at Victory Road Ray and Devon lost their match and the TNA tag titles to Angle and Joe, though only Joe gained complete control of the titles as he scored the pinfall and could therefore select a partner of his choosing. This was TNA back in 2005, guys. They came up with some really weird stipulations. So we're going to shoot through the career because they had such a stellar run in TNA. But it was at Lockdown when TNA World Tag Team Championships, the Dudley Boys then won the titles and retained the IWGP World Tag Team titles against Beer Money. They lost the IWGP titles to the British Invasion, Brutus Magnus, now known as Nick Aldis, and Doug Williams in 2009. It was on October the 18th of 2009 at Bound for Glory when they captured their 23rd World Tag Team Championship when they defeated Beer Money, the British Invasion, and the main event Mafias, Scott Steiner and Booker T, in a Full Metal Mayhem tag team match. During the following weeks, Team 3D turned heel and aligned themselves with Rhino in a battle against younger talent of the company. On the November 19th episode of Impact, Team 3D Academy of Professional Wrestling and Sports Entertainment graduate Jesse Neal joined up with 3D and Rhino. And 2 weeks later, Suicide joined with Morgan, Hernandez, and De Niro to level the playing field. It was at Final Resolution where Morgan, Hernandez, De Niro, and Suicide defeated Neal, Team 3D, and Rhino in an 8-man elimination tag team match. At Wrestle Kingdom 4 at the Tokyo Dome on January the 4th, 2010, Team 3D lost the IWGP tag titles to No Limit, Tetsuya Naito, and Yujiro in a 3-way hardcore match, which also included Bad Intentions, made up of Giant Bernard and Carl Anderson. When the immortal Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff took over TNA at the beginning of 2010, Team 3D's angle with Rhino and Neal was discontinued, and they were turned back to being faces while starting a feud with the Nasty Boys, who are part of the new wave, or old wave, of wrestlers brought in by Hogan and Bischoff. And against all odds, the Nasty Boys defeated Team 3D in a tag match when Jimmy Hart made his return to the company and interfered on the Nasty Boys' behalf. Wow, things really took off for TNA and for Bully Ray. Because in 2010, during Team 3D's retirement ceremony on Impact, Ray turned heel by attacking Devon, reigniting the feud between the two. The following week, Bully Ray claimed that Devon had gotten weak since Chris Sabin had managed to kick out of a 3D at the previous pay-per-view Turning Point, calling him the Marty Jannetty and himself the Shawn Michaels of the team. It was on the December 16th episode of Impact where LaMonaco renamed himself Bully Ray as he defeated Amazing Red in what was an absolute squash match. At Genesis in January of 2011, Ray defeated Devon via DQ after Devon hit his former partner with his own chain. It was in the following weeks where Devon's sons Terrence and Terrell began making appearances on Impact and were abused by Ray. And against all odds, Bully Ray faced his former tag partner in a street fight. After Devon's sons interfered in the match, Ray low-blowed them and pinned one of his sons for the win. Once the feud with Devon had culminated at Victory Road, Bully Ray aligned with Immortal, the team of Hulk Hogan's new stable, and moved on to feuding with Fortune. At the end of that show, Bully Ray powerbombed AJ Styles off the entrance stage through a table, sidelining him with a kayfabed injury. On April 17th at Lockdown of 2010, Immortal, who were represented by Bully Ray, Abyss, Matt Hardy, and the Nature Boy, were defeated by Fortune members the Cowboy James Storm, Frankie Kazarian, Bobby Roode, and the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, who replaced AJ in a lethal Lockdown match. During the match, though, Styles made his return, attacking Ray as he was beating Daniels. And on the 28th of April episode of Impact, Ray challenged Sting for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, but was defeated following interference from Styles. On June the 12th at Slammiversary 9, Ray defeated Styles in a last man standing match to win the feud. After the match, though, Ray, still retaining his status as a heel, put over Styles' resilience. Bully Ray would kind of trade paths over the next couple of years. He'd be involved in feuds with the like of Abyss and Chris Sabin, but it wasn't until 2012 where he really went to that next step. Because in August of 2012, Ray came together with the rest of the locker room to battle the villainous stable, Aces and Eights, who had been attacking random TNA wrestlers during the past few months. It was in this process that he was making a gradual face turn. In September of 2012, Bully Ray, unlike Devon, signed a 2-year contract extension with TNA. And on the September 6th episode of Impact, finished his Bound for Glory series group with a win over RVD, finishing third and advancing to the semi-finals of the tournament. On September 9th at No Surrender, Ray defeated James Storm in the semi-final, following interference from Bobby Roode, before losing to Jeff Hardy in the finals of the 2012 Bound for Glory series. This is despite of Jeff Hardy being attacked by Aces and Eights. On the following week's episode of Impact, Bully Ray was granted another opportunity to become the #1 contender, but he was again defeated by Hardy. The following week, on September 20th, Ray defeated the World Heavyweight Champion Austin Aries in a non-title match after hitting him with a steel chain. October 4th episode of Impact saw Ray defeat both Aries and the #1 contender Jeff Hardy in a 3-way, after which Hogan agreed to let him become Sting's partner for the match against Aces and Eights at Bound for Glory. On October the 14th, Ray and Sting were defeated by Aces, who in the process earned full access to TNA. Afterwards, it became apparent that one of the members of Aces and Eights was the returning Devon. On November the 1st, Ray and Devon faced off in the main event of Impact. However, the match ended in a brawl between the Aces and Eights and the TNA locker room. Over the next few weeks, this storyline would continue, and we would see a secret relationship developing between Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan. On December the 9th, at Final Resolution, Ray was defeated by Austin Aries in a singles match, following a distraction from both Brooke and Hogan and a low blow from Aries. On January the 3rd, Hogan suspended both Ray and Brooke after seeing them making out in the parking garage 2 weeks before. The following week, what would you do? Would you go speak to the father-in-law, or would you just propose? Well, he proposed to Brooke, and she accepted. The ceremony took place the following week on Impact, where one of the groomsmen, Taz, revealed himself to be a member of Aces and Eights, leading to the group attacking both Ray, Hogan, and the groomsmen. On the January 31st episode of Impact, Hogan reinstated Ray and put him and Sting against the Aces and Eights in a tables match. It's just an interesting run that he had, because ultimately Ray became the World Heavyweight Championship, and that took place at Lockdown on March the 10th, where he defeated Jeff Hardy. He then revealed himself to be the president of Aces and Eights, and it was his plan all along. This was one of the most entertaining angles I think TNA have run in a number of different years. Why? Because it was different. It really reminded you of the NWO back in WCW, back in the mid to late 90s. It was different, it was unique, but it really showcased just how good Mark LaMonaco, Bully Ray, was in A, being a main eventer, B, on the mic, and C, as a promo, being able to cut the promo, being able to get that crowd's attention, and really being able to be this massive heel that he always has been. On March the 9th of 2014, Bully Ray was introduced by Dixie Carter to be the special guest referee for the 8-man Lethal Lockdown match at Lockdown. During the match, he attacked Team Dixie's captain, the It Factor Bobby Roode, allowing Team MVP to be victorious, turning face once again. Ray then feuded with Bobby Roode, culminating in a match at Sacrifice. Ethan Carter III, interfered and cost Ray. Over the following weeks, Bully Ray invaded TNA headquarters in Nashville and Dixie's home, threatening to put her through a table. On May 22nd, Dixie and EC3 came out to confront MVP and his alliance for their actions. But when Bully Ray interrupted, he was ultimately laid out by MVP's alliance and put through a table by EC3. On June the 5th, MVP, along with EC3 and Rockstar Spud, so easy to read this instead of saying it, I'll tell you, challenged Ray, Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe to a first blood match, which Bully and his team won after he hit Ethan Carter III with a steel chain. At Slammiversary, Bully was defeated by EC3 after he went through a table, and later that night it was announced that Bully, along with Devon, would be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame as Team 3D. On the 8th of May, a 2015 episode of Impact, Ray made a one-off guest appearance as a special guest ref for the TNA World Championship match between Kurt Angle and Eric Young. On July 15 of Impact, Bully made his return to TNA, where he was revealed by Dixie Carter as the new general manager. However, just 1 week later, it was announced that Bully had departed from the company due to being unhappy with the current state of affairs within the company. So after that, he went back to the independent circuit, teaming up again with Devon, and they became something of a fixture of Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore. On November the 9th of 2013 at HOH 3, Bully attacked Dreamer and the hardcore legend Terry Funk following the main event, claiming that Dreamer had offended him by not inviting him to the show. He then challenged Dreamer to a Falls Count Anywhere street fight at TNA's one-night-only pay-per-view event, Old School. Spike Dudley returned to make the save, only to be beaten down by Bully as well, whereas Devon appeared to confront Billy, only to turn around and aid him as the two hit Dreamer with a 3D and then attempted to save the Sandman. Team 3D were also scheduled to officially team together against Dreamer and Abyss, then against Bad Influence on June 6th and 7th, 2014 at House of Hardcore 4 and 5. However, Bully would be pulled out of both events by TNA President Dixie Carter, turning the on-screen feud between Bully and Carter in TNA into a crossover storyline involving talent with both promotions. On July the 13th, 2014, Team 3D defeated Kevin Steen and Jason Axe to win the 2CW Tag Team Championships. At House of Hardcore 7, Team 3D defeated the Killer Elite Squad. Also in 2015, Bully Ray made a one-off appearance reprising his Bubba Ray Dudley character at the Royal Rumble. He eliminated The Miz and R-Truth before being eliminated by The Fiend Bray Wyatt. He joined at number 3. In August of 2015, he returned. Him and Devon made a surprise appearance, returning as the Dudley Boys. They attacked the New Day and gave a 3D through a table to Xavier Woods, and then they went on a feud against the likes of the Ascension. At the Night of Champions pay-per-view and live from MSG, the Dudley Boys challenged the New Day for the WWE Championships, but would win the match by disqualification, which allowed the New Day to retain the straps. This wasn't the greatest run for the Dudley Boys in the WWE. They were being used more to put over new talent. They were kind of the gatekeepers, and Devon was fully happy with that role. He said in an interview before that he expected to come in. They weren't the young guys anymore. They were the veterans. They were there to help put over the next generation of talent, guys from NXT, younger performers from the WWE main roster, like the Lucha Dragons, like Sami Zayn, like Neville. Bully wasn't happy with that. When their contracts came up for renewal, he told Vince McMahon he would not be renewing. Devon, however, signed as a producer, and ultimately in 2018, that led to the end of the Dudley Boys. as we know them. In 2018, they were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as the Dudley Boys. In the following years since that point, Bully Ray continued on the independent circuit, teaming up and feuding with the likes of Broken Matt Hardy. But it is in 2017 to 2020 that he was a part of Ring of Honor. He started with the company in 2017 at Manhattan Mayhem 6 by saving the Briscoes and Bobby Fish from the Bullet Club by putting Adam Cole through a table. At the 15th anniversary, he would team with the Briscoes and defeat War Machine. Again, not really the best run for him. It was on February the 10th of 2018 on his Twitter page that he confirmed he had retired. Up until Ring of Honor's closure and purchase by Tony Khan and AEW, he was still making appearances as the Enforcer. LaMonaco now has got a whole new career. One of the main hosts of the Busted Open radio show in the States. He has moved into journalism. He's moved into wrestling journalism. He's very opinionated. We've seen that on Twitter. Driving the ire of Renee Paquette for the comments made against Jon Moxley for his drug rehab. But whether you like Bully Ray or whether you don't, one thing can't be denied. He was one of the biggest and best names to enter a tag team division. Him and Devon, the Dudley Boys, will never be emulated again in the tag team rings. Their legacy, both in Impact and WWE, Ring of Honor, and ECW, will never be rivaled. And really, it's thanks to Impact Wrestling that we saw a whole new perspective of what Bully Ray was all about. And for that reason, that is why we have the legacy of Bully Ray. Thanks for joining me here at the Retro Chat podcast. Hope you have enjoyed it. Next week on Retro Chat, we're going to be talking about a whole host of different things, including our main topic of the week. And our main topic of the week is going to be something very, very different. It's going to be about the documentary, I Am Spock. Looking forward to this one. One of the great documentaries that were out there by Leonard Nimoy's son. Going to be a fantastic documentary. We will cover it next week on the Retro Chat. Stay tuned for more on the Squared Circle. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and also to the podcast audio feed to be told of the latest in terms of our videos and our podcast. And if you haven't already done it, please join our Discord. Link is on screen. We'll put it in the chat as well and in the comments of the podcast feed. https discord.gg/QJDYRR6E6A. We're launching a new Discord. We want to get you guys involved. Massive community of talking pop culture and sports, wrestling, movies, TV, whatever. We want to hear from you. So please join the Discord. And let's create our own community full of positive vibes. If you're listening to this certain person, then we can really kind of have a chat, have a conversation, make some networks. It's going to be good. Until then, my name's Andy Evans. I will see you very soon. Thanks for joining us on the Squared Circle. Bye-bye for now.